Yuji's soul curse technique is here, and not only will it be the key to actually defeating Sukuna and freeing Megumi, but it's already done damage to Sukuna and may have actually already shattered just a bit of his soul. And Yuji may actually use this power in combination with his new death painting powers to actually free Megumi and completely crumble Sukuna's soul. Yes, Yuji is not just all brawls, he may actually have some hacks now. So trust me, if you're a Yuji fan and you're curious about his soul curse technique, you're definitely going to stick around all the way until the end. Also, we'll be doing a JJK charity stream on this channel for SAVE, also known as Suicide Awareness Voices of Education. Many JJK YouTubers who you're well aware of will be joining us in the stream, and it's going to be a lot of fun and it's for a good cause. The stream is on the 10th of December, which is in 2 days. There'll be more info on this at the end of the video. And of course, be sure to leave a like, it helps out a lot. And if you like JJK, subscribe. I make a ton of JJK videos, and thank you to the special members of the channel. It's much appreciated. Alright, so why am I and many others actually saying that Yuji has soul-related abilities? Where does this come from? Well, it's not come out of nowhere. So the first piece of evidence is chapter 220 when Choso was talking to Yuji. Choso says, "Yuji, take this." Choso responds, "It's records of soul research that Tsukumo left along with the back of the prison row." So that's the first piece of evidence. Clearly, Yuji is actually interested in learning about the souls, or at the very least, Choso thought it was so important that Yuji knows that he actually gave him a whole book filled with information on it, and the book actually says secret on it. So this is very important information, and Yuki, as we know, is a Jujutsu scientist who has been studying for at least 11 years, if not longer, on all of this soul research, as previously she had even asked Toji Zenin to research his body, because as she said to Kenjaku, she thinks that the key to actually breaking away from curses and removing them is to make humans like Toji, who are free from cursed energy. And considering the fact that this was before Toji had died, this, for all we know, should actually be even longer than 11 years. So there is a lot of research and hidden info in this book that Yuji got. The second piece of information is that when we saw him training with Kusakabe, Kusakabe and Yuji are actually talking to each other, but in different bodies. Now, if you're someone who's reading the English, it may have just seemed off-putting that Yuji is both talking and acting differently as he's looking down on Kusakabe, and he tells Kusakabe, "Hurry up and master it, Yuji." What makes this even more damning is in the actual Japanese text itself, Kusakabe's response is osu, which just means yes, but it's a specific way of saying yes that mainly just Yuji says. Kusakabe doesn't say this. So clearly what's going on here is Kusakabe is in Yuji's body and Yuji is in Kusakabe's body. Now, it could be possible this is a blood-related curse technique, or it's a Kenjaku curse technique that's been awakened in him, but what it likely is that Yuji has actually somehow swapped their souls. But that is a second piece of evidence to bring up. And just by the way, osu does actually have a deeper meaning than just yes. I'll leave it up on the screen so you see for yourself. I don't want to spread misinfo. Now, those two pieces of evidence are pretty damning. It is heavily implying that Yuji has soul-related abilities, especially the first one. The next two aren't as strong, but they're still pieces of evidence that at least build upon these foundations. The next one is the fact that Yuji is actually fully aware of his own soul and of others' soul. Now, in case you aren't aware, this was directly said by Mahito, and the reason Yuji's actually aware of this is because he actually houses another soul, so it doesn't actually matter if he's doing it consciously or subconsciously, like the angel said, because Yuji just has another soul inside of him. He's aware of his own soul, and for that reason, he can actually damage Mahito's soul with each of his attacks. Since to damage Mahito, even if you hit his physical body, it won't hurt him. It'll only hurt him if you actually hit his soul. Interestingly enough, this should be the case for all incarnated players or anyone that houses two souls, or even the vessels of the people that have had their bodies taken over. If they do get it back, they should actually also be aware of their souls. The fourth and last piece of evidence is a narrative reason. It's less of a practical reason. It's the fact that Yuji did tell Mahito, "I'm you." And we know that Yuji and Mahito are literally the same people, but completely paralleled on the opposite side of the same coin. They're the same people, but for different factions. What I mean by this is just in the same way that all Yuji wants to do is help people, save people. That's his goal. He doesn't care about curses. He will extinguish curses until the end of time, until he dies. He will keep exercising them. He doesn't care about them. All he cares about is saving people. Mahito is the exact same, but reversed. All he cares about is killing humans. The ideology is funny enough, it's just the same thing reversed. That's why Mahito says, "I am you," until you understand that you can't beat me, and Yuji eventually does understand it and says, "Yeah, I am you." I just did a very quick summary of the entire theme and dynamic, but just a diet down version so you understand. So what I'm trying to say is, since Mahito has everything to do with souls and Yuji is supposed to be the Mahito of the humans on the other side, wouldn't it stand to reason that Yuji may also be able to manipulate souls, or eventually at least be able to? Again, this isn't a practical reason why he should, it's more of a narrative reason. It would be narratively fitting, and the story would tie nicely if Yuji did, for those thematic and narrative reasons. Now, what are Yuji's techniques? And oh man, there can be so many of them, and they really are going to be the key to defeating Sukuna. And if you've been enjoying the video so far, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for JJK content like this. Now, in chapter 244, we saw Yuji actually punch Sukuna, and Sukuna vibrates, he shakes, and he actually asks, "What just happened?" as he has question marks all over. Of course, we don't have the answer to this, as right after that, Higuruma cast a retrial, so the domain expansion Deadly Sentencing is resummoned. However, clearly something happened that's less of a physical attack and more of a hacks attack. Sukuna isn't bleeding from their mouth. He doesn't take any sort of damage that we can see, but he does shake, and even he himself questions something just happened. What was it? What happened? And I think you see where I'm going with this. I think this actually has to do with potentially a soul-related ability. Or I should actually clarify, I think there are 3 possibilities. 1, it's just death painting related. 2, it's a mixture of death painting and soul-related abilities. Or 3, it's just soul-related abilities. The death painting one, I've actually already explained in a recent video, which you can check out after this one. Option 2, where it's a mixture of both, is Yuji's actual hand transformation is of the death paintings, right? If you've watched my video, you'd know that it's very likely the 8th death painting, Yuji's brother Kotsuso's ability, where he can harden his body and basically make bones. But it's possible that Yuji's hand actually has nothing to do with him shaking Sukuna's souls. They may be 2 completely different things. So that's why I say the second option is both things. He's punching him with a death painting ability, probably to boost his own attack power, but Sukuna actually being shaken has nothing to do with that actual ability, and it may have to do with a soul ability. Unless it's option 1 and it's all to do with death painting, and even Sukuna shaking has to do with the death paintings, which is possible. Option 3 is that it's all soul related, and what I mean by this is Yuji's actually manipulated his soul to form this kind of arm that he has on his hand, where it's all red and white, right? You can see sort of the flesh, the muscle, I don't know what to call it, and you also see the bones. And when he actually strikes Sukuna with his soul manipulated hand, he's actually attacking his soul. Now, whether it's option 2 or 3, as long as it's the possibility of Yuji hitting Sukuna's soul, this does lead into a lot of questions. Well, excluding the fact that maybe it's just a curse tool and all of this is nonsense, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Is he either A, shaking up Sukuna's soul, or B, is he actually attacking Megumi's soul? And I should say attack in quotes, but let's say touching Megumi's soul or trying to awaken it. So I'll go with the first option. It's possible that when he actually hits Sukuna, obviously Sukuna doesn't seem damaged physically, though he does shake. It's possible that's only because his soul shook and his soul has actually taken damage. So maybe Yuji's goal here is to keep punching Sukuna and hitting his soul again and again to weaken his soul and to actually give Megumi a chance to fight back, because Sukuna has an overwhelmingly powerful soul. And if you can just weaken it and give Megumi some leg room, maybe Megumi can actually start fighting back. And even though Megumi has descended because Sukuna took the bath, he killed Tsumiki, Megumi's soul is already broken before, and of course Gojo died recently, so there's not much for his soul. I still think, considering Megumi's personality, there might be even just a tiny bit of resistance. I mean, we even saw with Yuji, even when he wanted to end himself and he truly was at his lowest point in Shibuya, he did eventually pick himself back up. Granted, Todo did help with that, and Yuji did go through a lot in one moment too, but I do think at the very least Megumi would at least try to help out and weaken Sukuna on the inside. Maybe that's what Yuji's going for. Or it's option 2, he's not actually damaging Sukuna's soul, but when he's punching him, his fist is actually connecting with Megumi's soul to kind of awaken it or to give it strength. Because as Sukuna said before, it was always a possibility that Megumi could have just been another cage just like Yuji. Sukuna himself did say that. That's why he specifically waited for a moment for Megumi to be at his absolute lowest, for his soul to be completely shattered, to take his body, and even then Megumi was still fighting back, which is why he needed to take the shower, and then of course he needed to kill Tsumiki to further cement Megumi's soul into the shadows. Again, maybe Yuji's sending a message to Megumi's soul, he's trying to give him hope, or he's literally giving him power, or he's just shaking him up saying, yo Megumi, we're out here fighting, come on man, you gotta step it up. Maybe he wouldn't say it like that, right? I don't think Yuji would say that, especially after everything Megumi's gone through, but just imagine Yuji saying something cool and motivational. I don't know, I'm not Yuji, I'm not the main character. Now, could it be possible that the reason Yuji's actually punched him just before they activated the retrial, because Higuruma could have cast retrial from the beginning? I don't see a reason why Yuji needed to punch Sukuna first, but it seems like they purposely let him punch him first, let Sukuna be affected and shaken up, then Higuruma did cast the retrial. So clearly this punch was needed for the retrial, which does tie into the whole Yuji and Higuruma are going to call upon Megumi as a witness theory, and that is a theory that has been going rampant in the fanbase for well over a month now, if not 2 months I think, which I do think is possible, though I haven't actually talked about it that much on this channel since everyone else has talked about it. The reason people are talking about this much is because it seems very plausible, and it would be very cool to see Megumi actually called upon the stand. Maybe Judge Man will actually summon Megumi's soul out of Sukuna's body and call it as a witness, or it could actually backfire and Sukuna could place all the blame on Megumi for it being his body or negligence or something like that. I don't know, he'll say Megumi was the one who killed Satoru Gojo. That would be absolutely insane, and maybe Megumi would feel so guilty, just like how Yuji did during his fight with Higuruma in Tokyo Colony. Megumi may say, yes, I did it, which I hope not truly, and normally Megumi wouldn't do that because it would let Sukuna win, but it could be possible that Megumi is feeling so much guilt right now that he truly just wants to die, and it may backfire badly. Again, I do think this is very out of character for Megumi, but these are very special circumstances considering all of the horrific things Megumi has gone through, and we have have no idea what his state of mind is right now. With what we know, he should be so crushed that he just truly wants to die as quick as possible. Not like Megumi at all, but again, he has gone through a lot and it has been over a month. And the last thing I want to touch upon is, yes, Yuji can actually have the death painting powers and a soul related ability. Whether or not it's a curse technique or just some sort of technique that he's using, somehow just manipulating the soul without a curse technique, I think it could be a curse technique. The reason being, you can have multiple curse techniques in your body. Yes, there is a limit. It's not like the limit is 1. It's not even 2. From what Yuki said, it should be 4, as we did see Kenjaku actually have 3 curse techniques, and Yuki did speculate that Kenjaku probably has a 4th one-time use one that he's keeping as an ace, which is crazy to think about that. He beat Tengen, Yuki, and Choso in a 3v1 and he didn't even use his ace. He didn't even need to use it. Kenjaku does have 3 curse techniques: his body swapping curse technique, curse spirit manipulation, and anti-gravity from Coyote Itadori's body, and he's completely fine. So at the bare minimum, Yuji should be able to have 3 or 4. So if he does have the death painting's power, which should be 9 techniques all under the umbrella of 1 curse technique. So in the same way how the 10 shadows is 1 curse technique where you can summon 10 Shikigami and you get various abilities out of it like Mahoraga, you get adaptation, lightning, water, you can go into the shadows, even though this is all under the umbrella of 1 technique. So even if Yuji does have all 9 of the death painting's powers, which I do think, again, you should check that video out as soon as this video ends, that would just count as 1 curse technique, the blood manipulation. He could have a soul curse technique, which would be his 2nd one, and he could even have another one or even 2 more on top of these 2. His brain would be able to handle it. He doesn't need to make an external storage like Yuta did with Rika. And just another heads up for the JJK charity stream that we will be doing on the 10th of December for suicide awareness, which is in 2 days. Again, a ton of JJK YouTubers who definitely know will be there, and it'll be a lot of fun. The link to the stream is in the description. I hope to see you all there. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to leave a like. It helps out a ton. Thank you. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for a ton of consistent and quality JJK content. Less than 10% of people who actually watch my videos are subscribed. So if you love JJK, I promise you won't regret it. And of course, thank you to all the channel members as well. It is much appreciated. That's all from me. Have a great day and take care, guys.